Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Yeah, it's my time, your time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go. Our time, high time. Gotta go big time. This is it, yo. Never take no fight time. Grind time. Take it to the street time. Turn the roof off. Get loco. Game time, win time. We gon' bring it home time. No regrets now. Let it all go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder.
Good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. I'm Aeson, and of course with you tonight is the techie with the mostest, Techie Joe, who's in my seat.
There you go. All right. What the heck?
People all upset and confused.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like, it'll be horrible.
Yeah.
All right.
You know.
That's not the one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I was trying to get my phone all moody. There we go. I always forget which volume slider it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, because my phone has four.
Mm-hmm.
One for system, one for notifications, one for ringtone, and one for, like, sound.
Right.
And I never remember which one is the one that puts it in silent.
Right.
It's always like, wee, 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 wee. Oh, there it is.
Yep. Which one works?
Which one does the thing?
Yeah. So what you drinking? How's your week been?
Oh, well, the week's been crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm rocking some water because I need it.
Yes.
Though I made it through a whole massage therapy appointment, and my massage therapist said nothing about water intake. I don't know that that's a ringing endorsement.
Right.
But it's better than usual.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. You
And I'm
know,
almost out of antibiotics.
Yay. And then maybe you'll become human again.
I hope so.
It's been an interesting week. We've been catching up on some stories. We've kind of missed a few.
Ooh, apple slices with chagin and a bottle of water here tonight. There we go. Way to go, Brenda.
Very good.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So, what about your week?
I've been catching up. I mean, you know, we've got the Murdoch trial going on. Yeah, you know I'm watching it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been interesting. It's been fairly boring, although Dick is a dick. And yes, the lawyer is the lawyer.
Oh, yeah. I was weirded out. I thought, I don't know, it feels like it's been forever.
Right.
That this case has been going on. So you were watching some content about it. And I was like, oh, thank God they're at closing arguments. And you're like, no.
No, that's opening.
No, that's opening arguments that they didn't even think they were going to get to today.
Yeah, because it took forever to seat a jury. I mean, considering the family has been the prosecuting attorney for about 200 years.
Have you or anyone you know ever been sentenced by?
Have you or anyone you know? Literally, the first verdict question was, does anybody here know the defendant?
And
please
everyone.
You are excused.
I wonder how many pools they had to go through.
They went through, I think, 1,000 is what they originally pulled, and
1,000 jurors. Oh, so literally they knew this was going to be bad.
Oh, yeah.
So they're like, yeah, we're not even doing normal jury selection. We're just going to pull 1,000 people in and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
They got it down to 84, and then they had a jury set in no time after they got it down to 84.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
It was. It was very nice. I really like the prosecuting attorneys. They seem to
Mhm.
be doing a really good job. The defendant attorney, though, I don't know if he's playing stupid or if he is just a dick.
Okay, well, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. He can't hold still. He can't stand at a podium. He walks back and forth in the courtroom. He doesn't understand technology at all. Like, all of this is on video. And
And he's super, super long-winded.
yes, he does not answer questions. He doesn't
Like we
ask
saw that in the
questions.
we saw that in the pre-trial motions.
Yes.
Because you had previously watched some content about that, like there we
Mm-hmm.
go. And yeah, because it has taken
Mm-hmm.
forever. But no, like pre-trial motions were painful.
Right.
Like it hurt
Right.
to watch this and it's like, dude, you're not arguing the case in front of a jury.
Right.
Like you are on a pre-trial motion.
Exactly.
Like,
And the judge is not having it.
no.
No. Now, what I do find highly interesting, and my students will love me for this,
Mm-hmm.
the judge makes everyone stand up in the court about every 2.5 hours
Oh, nice.
for a stretch break.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. That sounds like a judge that has run into some people or has his own problems
Mm-hmm.
in which it's like, yeah.
Yeah. Because right
Like
now they're
this.
entering evidence and it's so boring.
Mhm.
Because they have to enter every little snark and piece. What I find interesting is they can't find the weapon on a 17,000 acre plot of land.
Whoops.
Yeah,
What?
they can't find the two weapons. It's interesting. They believe it was two weapons. It's very interesting. And then you got caught up on the Todd Chrisley event.
Yes. And I'm horrified.
Mm-hmm.
I'm horrified. Like
Right.
if we're done with Murdoch and we're headed to Chrisley.
Yeah, let's go to Chrisley.
Okay, I was making sure. So yeah, that was an experience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just what the hell is going on with our banking system just as a whole?
Right.
As a whole. Because okay, so effectively the Chrisley case kind of begins just after the 2008 bubble burst
Mm-hmm.
in the housing market.
Mm-hmm.
These are the real estate developers who supposedly swindled the government, and yeah. Well, at this point, they've been convicted, so
Yeah, and now serving.
and now serving time. But no, like I don't know, like, but this scam they perpetuated,
Right.
it's basically the same thing that Trump's been accused of.
Right.
Is effectively falsifying documentation of finances to report to show the bank in order to get loans.
Mm-hmm.
That information is
Scrapbooked.
Yeah. Well, but that information is rose tinted at best.
Right.
At worst, it's a full on, completely made up
Mm-hmm.
document.
Right.
What horrifies me is we're in the 21st century.
Right.
We're well into the 21st century, and by roughly 2009, I believe, was when all this started.
2006.
Oh, excuse me, 2006. So the other side of the bubble.
Right.
So 2006. Even then, but I would certainly say later on,
right,
in this, why the hell are we still relying on the loan recipient?
Mm-hmm.
The loan recipient
Mm-hmm.
to provide all financial information, including bank statements.
Right.
I cannot wrap my head around why in the 21st century, and by surely like 2010, 2015, I don't think there was a bank left by 2015 that did not have internet access and internet banking and internet options.
Right.
Now, granted, I understand for many banks, this is like scabbed over an existing ancient system. Fair enough. But at the same time, you mean to tell me that nowhere in here, nowhere in a giant bank bailout, did any of these banks ever think, you know what would really stop a lot of problems with loan fraud? You know what would really accelerate the process of getting a home loan? Would be not relying on the data that the consumer gives us, but having the consumer sign a piece of paper that lets us go pull from the designated banks account information. Like send, in a standard, format, in a standard way. I would really think that all the money that banks are spending on lobbyists, maybe they could have earmarked a few bucks. Per bank. At least the major ones. And earmark some money to go into an interoperability system for loan applications.
Well, and I think that should be very interesting to do, because what they kept touting was this $4 million in Merrill Lynch that was never really there and was mortgaged to the hilt, and then all these properties that were flipping, and it was like, are you kidding me?
Well, and the fact that this covers, this all covers 29 loans. 29 loans. I'm sitting here going, okay, maybe in 2006. Maybe you were having some issues getting, that, to really verify the veracity of all this. Surely to God, after the 2008 bubble burst, the bank bailouts, and all the scrutiny that went into home lending.
Which the bank bailouts were only for some of them. The community banks, which he is charged with, he personally called 20 of them to become insolvent. He closed the bank for failure to pay.
Well, there were a number of banks that he is, and see, I have problems with that. I think that's a fair point to argue. Is some of the very small banks, I think, brought this on themselves. They saw a customer and basically sized him up and said, you'll pay us back. And could not have possibly done enough due diligence towards, funding this loan for their size. It's one thing when you talk about Chase. Or, WAMU.
Not just WAMU. I thought WAMU was a good bank.
No. Bank of America, BB&T. Oh, I'm sorry, Truist. Those are banks that can take a hit.
Guys, I'll be right back. I gotta put our 3-year-old up.
Okay. But those are banks that can take a hit. They can take a risk on a loan that is not necessarily the best loan to make, or without, they can absorb a little bit. Not as much as they did in 2008, obviously, but they can absorb a bit. Versus small local banking, which typically small local banking, I don't know if anyone has ever tried to talk to a small community bank, a very regional, small area bank, about getting a loan. Usually the requirements for that are insane.
Well, and that's what I don't get, is these small community banks done these loans for him on the same damn account, when our bank who can clearly see every penny coming into the account, can't even do a loan. Like, they don't even want to talk a loan.
Nope. They don't like, well, and again, and God forbid you ever ask them for a credit card.
Right.
That shocked and horrified me. Like, their requirements to get a credit card at our bank, you're not getting a credit card.
Okay.
Like, we're not getting a credit card. The things that, like, we would have to win the lottery to get a credit card.
Well,
and I mean that legit. Like, we would, like, Powerball, Mega Millions, whatever. The minimum account balance required it effectively makes you a VIP customer.
Well, again, like, I would not be I wouldn't be storing our money at their bank for that. That goes to the E-Trade account where we can actually have international funding. And,
well, yes.
We can begin, taking trips to, I don't know, the Bahamas.
Right. But my whole point being, just a credit card, like a $250 line of credit. Not interested. Don't want to do it. Don't care what your credit score is. Only care about what your balance is, and you have to be in the 7 significant digits club or higher.
Right.
Like, it's insane. And I'm sitting here going, I can't imagine the things that have to, because again, they're a small bank. They can't take many risks.
Right.
Like, their margins are thin. Like, I get this. Like, they're like, but they also don't push a lot of product. It's not like you walk into BB&T and you get offered to open like 15 new accounts.
Right.
We'll open a money market, a savings, a checking. Do you need this? Do you want a certificate of deposit? And they, like, literally just keep pumping product at you.
Right.
That's
like
not
Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, our bank has a refer a friend program, and each of you get $10. Like, they literally give you a toaster.
Right.
Almost, if you can cover the tax. I mean,
yeah.
That's how small this bank is. They just give it to you as a small credit to your account. But regardless, like, they can't take the risk. I don't know what kind of community bank or what the hell they were thinking trying to bite off this much lending power.
Right. Well, what I'm trying to think is, how do they have the lending power?
Well, obviously they didn't. If these loans, and I think that's the more important comment to say, is not that Todd Chrisley bankrupt, or Todd and Julie Chrisley bankrupted these banks. They did it to themselves, but it was this loan and the failure of its payback that bankrupted them.
Right.
I'm sorry, if your net deposits are such that you can't handle the loan you're backing, and moreover that you can't handle to have it not paid,
right?
I think you bit off way too much.
Right. And I would agree. They bit off way too much. I think it was a very bad lending process. I think that they done very negatively with it. I also think that, they need to, like, I don't know, fix their issues. Maybe that's a good reason for them to close. And I know that, but it's a small bank. And?
No, there's no and to it. Well, there is an and to it, but I mean, there's no, they're a small bank. Like, yeah, that's more reason.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, if you go to Bill Gates wanting to borrow $10,000, Bill Gates may just hand you $10,000.
Right.
And not really care whether you can pay it back or not, because he's fucking Bill Gates.
Right.
It's $10,000.
Right.
Like, nowhere in his life is he ever going to be sitting somewhere going, oh, that $10,000, that's what ruined me. You come to me for $10,000, and after I quit laughing hysterically,
because he will,
then it's going to be like, do you understand that in order for me to give you $10,000, just play along for a minute. Like I have to break your kneecaps if you miss a payment.
Yeah, because your husband is going to break your kneecaps if they miss a payment.
Basically, yes.
Yes.
Because that's not money we could afford to lose.
Right.
Like, we can't just be like, oh, I'm sure you're good for it. Like, no, I will break siblings' kneecaps for that amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, comparative to like where we are financially.
All right.
It's like, no. Or put up the house for bail for someone. It's no, you don't show up to court, you don't have to worry about Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll tell you right now.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to show up with some long-ass bleach blonde hair and kick your ass.
Well, I don't need to bleach blonde hair, but I will kick your ass, and you'll be in court on time for your appearance. You may not like how you appear, but you will appear. Tied up in a bunny suit, but you're going to be there.
Well, yeah, basically, Brenda, that financially, that would kind of be where we would be for a $10,000 loan. Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I did used to work for bounty hunters. I have no problem calling in favors and using them to collect you early, because we will be there at 4 a.m. to make sure you're in court on time.
Mm-hmm. Like, we will run a door-to-door service. Because, again, no. until that's refunded, no. I own you.
Yes.
Like, I don't believe in slavery, but you better believe I'm going to own you like property. I have to put up bail for you.
I will step out of that conversation.
I'm just saying.
I know. But anyway, so at least Todd is getting visitors. His mother and his estranged daughter that cut a deal with the FBI, reported him to the FBI, went to visit him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm making a ringing endorsement of Todd or Julie Chrisley. Like, they did a lot of things wrong.
Right.
But I think that one segment accounts against them is kind of bullshit.
Well, I think they've done a lot of things wrong, but I also think, and this is probably not popular opinion, I don't care, that the business partner that admitted after he got what is it? Basically, they can't charge him with anything, including a speeding
immunity deal.
Yeah.
Like full immunity, not even partial or a few charges or qualified, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Full immunity.
Right. After he got the full immunity deal, I think he done a lot of it. Okay.
I wonder if he did it before the deal or after the deal. Because that would make a very huge difference. Like, if he got the full immunity and then went and did all these things for them.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
No, it was before he done the crime.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the fundamental point, is he is the one who did the crime.
Right. They get to do the time.
Yeah.
Plus, the IRS lied to the jury. By stating that they never received payment for the taxes. And it's like, no, Todd paid you the payment. He paid you in 2019 for the taxes owed on the supposed income. You did receive payment.
Yeah. So, horrible misstatement.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it took him forever to pay it.
Right.
But eventually it got paid.
Right.
But no, I mean, there's a lot of quirks in this one.
Well, there is, and then I don't like the sentencing. And here's why I don't like the sentencing. 20 years. 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Jen Shaw got less than 20 years. And she stole millions from elderly people. We have a government entity that has trillions in debt, and we have elderly living on Social Security's checks.
Yeah. Well, and fundamentally,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not necessarily trying to excuse their crime or, be an apologist for it.
Mm-hmm.
But effectively what they did was follow a bank's process
Mm-hmm.
that is rife with problems,
Mm-hmm.
like horribly rife with problems,
Mm-hmm.
and did what they could do,
Right.
as like any of us do, trying to look our best. They went way overboard with it.
Right.
But it's a process that effectively the banks, 29 banks,
Mm-hmm.
were allowing to happen.
Right.
Like, you cannot tell me in this day and age
Mm-hmm.
that any bank creating a loan for any consumer doesn't have the idea,
Right.
that at least a few of them are going to fluff the numbers.
Right.
And make it look a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Make it look a little better.
Right.
I think there's a fair number of consumers that make it look a little rosier than it is, and may provide some material misstatements. Usually, and I would assume to within enough to make it look plausible they can afford this loan.
Right. And I can understand that, but you don't go and scrapbook the statements.
Well, that's what I'm meaning, is you would have to do that. Like, because fundamentally what a lot of borrowers are running into is they're paying $3,000 a month in rent,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't qualify for a $1,500 a month loan.
Right.
To buy a home.
Right.
And it's like, well, if I'm already paying $3,000 in rent,
yeah,
how could I not pay $1,500 on a home loan?
Right. Like, and I get that, but it's just insanity upon insanity here. And then, but no, Jen Shaw got 6 years.
Okay.
And she was the head of a telemarketing scheme that basically sold products to elderly people that they could not use.
Mm-hmm.
Like, small business, basically what you provide.
So it's like, call grandma and offer her small business services.
Yeah.
And it's like, grandma don't need no small business services. Grandma don't got a small business.
Right. Well, you can buy this website and you'll make millions off of it. Passive income.
See, no, that's a passive income scam.
Right.
That's based on websites. Now, they may have generated a website, I don't know. But fundamentally, that starts and ends as a scam.
Right.
That you're trying to fleece elders, who those on a fixed income, who would believe in your authority, etc., and believe that they could, put, $30 a month, $100 a month, $200 a month up, and then make 2, 3, 10, 30 grand a month.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not how that works. Like, what are you selling? What are you actually selling?
Right.
Like, and that's LuLaRoe money.
Right.
You have to have a product.
Right. Well, we'll have that shipped for you. For another, $200 a month, we'll just take care of your shipping. All you got to do is sit back and collect the funds. Anyhow, she only got 6 years. Okay, she stole more than Todd Chrisley, but she only got 6 years.
Well, and that one sounds like it was a much more intentional, like a higher degree of intent to deceive multiple reasonably unsuspecting consumers. Versus Todd Chrisley pulled all his shit in a bank.
Right.
You're telling me that near or in some general area of where he has lived, 29 bankers, 29 loan officers sat there and went, looks legit. sounds legit, seems like a good risk.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Oh, I watched you on the show last night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's a big part of it is the fact that they were on TV. I'm sure they were local celebrities wherever they lived.
Mm-hmm.
And you I'm sure that many of these were people he met through, like a chamber of commerce or a country club or whatever.
Right.
This is social networking at its finest.
Mm-hmm.
In which you go out, you get drunk, and you spend some time, and you suddenly don't really seem to recognize anymore the conflict of interest.
Right.
Like, this is someone I'm going to go spend time with in public. This has become a friend. I'm giving my friend a loan based on the documents he's sending me. And I would have to question how many of these banks told him what to put in it.
Oh, that would be a good question.
Because again, I don't think this all just magically occurred to everyone one day. I think that somewhere in the line of bankers was someone who said, "Oh, just do this. Oh, just write something up.
Right.
Like, it just has to say this.
Right.
And then I can give you a loan. We don't have to tell anyone." I will guarantee you there was a one, probably small, local banker, and it probably wasn't a huge loan, couple $100,000, thought he was helping poor dude get his business started or whatever. And, oh, don't worry about that. Just write this. It'll be fine. And for that loan, it probably was fine. They got repaid. It wasn't a big deal. No problem. But I think that's where, like, the dawning realization that, oh, it didn't matter if any of this shit's legit. They can't double check it.
Right.
They're clueless.
Right.
It's whatever we show them on paper, they think we have. Who in their right mind thought this was a good loan system?
Beyond me. Let's take a break.
All right.
Oh, maybe there we go.
Hi, I'm Dottie the Psychic, and I'm sure you're wondering why I'm not wearing any makeup. Well, one reason is to irritate my social media manager, Aeson Knight. Hi, Aeson. The other reason is because I like to get to the naked truth about what it means to be a neurodivergent LGBT person with psychic abilities. I've got vlogs, blogs, and podcasts and videos all related to trying to live my best life and helping witches and bitches do the same thing. So, you can check all that out and get a reading from Dottie the Psychic at DOTTIEthepsychic.com. Safe travel and much profit to you.
Do you have a cute pet? We know you do. Each week, Tracy Vann chooses from submitted photos a featured reader for her Facebook page and provides a tarot reading. Your adorable pet cat, dog, rabbit, goat, chicken, snake, or more could be her next featured reader. Visit tracyvann.com, TracyVann.com, and click Featured Reader to submit. We look forward to seeing your pet next.
Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here, and I am here to tell you how to get in contact with me and a little bit about what I do. I am the High Priestess that works with shadow work to help you grow and heal. And I work with access bars, Reiki. I do power forms. I'm recently getting into crystal healing, sound therapy as well. So you can go to Lady Gwendolyn Healing. That is LadyGwendolynHealing.com. Book your appointment with me. I do in person, I do over the phone, I do over Zoom. We can do that as well. My main goal is to help you grow and heal, because I've been there, I'm still going through it, and let my strength help guide you. See you soon.
Hey everybody, Natalie here from The Pendulum's Path. If you are in need of guidance, direction, spiritual connection, healing, or more, you have come to the right place. I have worked as a psychic and a medium for over 3 years, connecting people from all over the world with their loved ones, giving them insight and guidance into their current situations, their past healings, their blockages, and what they need to know in order for them to have a better future. It would be my absolute honor if you would come to my website at www.thependulumspath.com. Visit my shop. I have a whole bunch of crystals, oils, balms, mystery boxes, and more. And visit my services. I offer 15-minute, 30-minute, and 60-minute sessions. I also have email readings available if you're not comfortable with the one-on-one session with me, or if you just want to try me out. I encourage you to come visit me at the Pendulum's Path, and let's get you back on the right track today.
All right. Well, our legislature has been up to some shenanigans.
Oh.
Well, first we had
Oh, God. Really?
Yes. Well, first we had, that trans people are an abomination and obscenities. Now they're going for this.
Yeah. So West Virginia now has a bill to ban adult-oriented stores in West Virginia in House Judiciary Committee.
Mm-hmm.
A bill to ban adult-oriented stores in West Virginia was referred to the House Judiciary Committee on Monday. The text of House Bill 2919, or the Sexually Oriented Businesses Regulation Act, says the bill would ban stores that primarily sell pornographic material or instruments, devices, or paraphernalia. It is also looking to ban adult cabaret or clubs, nightclubs, restaurants, or other businesses that show performers nude or semi-nude, and adult arcade businesses. The bill says they are looking to ban these businesses because statistics show that more crime happens in places where adult-oriented stores are located. It says these stores encourage prostitution, increase sexual assaults, and bring other criminal activity to the area. There is no information in the bill about where the crime statistics came from.
And can we talk statistics?
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
We can make up statistics all damn day. You can take those numbers and make them read whatever you want them to read.
Well, okay. Well, here's the starter thing. I don't think you're going to necessarily show, even if there is a high crime area around an adult-oriented business, that it is inherently caused by the adult-oriented business.
Right.
Now, some of these are kind of a no-brainer. If you have a bar and a liquor license, you are going to have some minimal crime increase. Bar fights, smash and grabs, things like that. Usually at the business itself. Like, I'm sorry, it's kind of a no-brainer. If a lot of women that go to a bar leave the purse in the car, take a very small wallet out of that purse with a limited amount of things.
Right.
It's kind of a no-brainer that if you start smashing windows, you're going to start finding some wallets and jewelry and, God knows, enough wedding rings. You do. You would.
Right.
But then again, that focuses on like clubs, nightclubs, and restaurants, and just the existence of a business in a parking lot, period. Period. That I could see potentially being that's going to happen, but that's going to happen if you open a FedEx Kinko's.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't have to do with kinky.
Right.
It has to do with it's a business with a parking lot. Shit's
Mm-hmm.
gonna happen.
Right.
With a little more propensity towards, bar fights being at a bar.
Right.
Brenda brings up a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So who will be the judge of what is semi-nude? How small is no longer a cocktail waitress?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what we're dealing with. Forced moral opinions is what we have unfortunately legislated into our government.
Mm-hmm.
And have to put up with.
Yeah. Although I do want to go back to Brenda's thing real fast because it dawned on me after. I think what they're talking about is the difference between full nudity, head to toe, like, they're wearing heels.
Mm-hmm.
Full nudity, versus topless only.
Right.
So I would hope that's what they're talking about.
Right.
Now the rest of this,
right.
Again, I think somehow it's going to also matter how you interpret it.
Right.
Okay, because depending upon how they are meaning instruments, devices, or paraphernalia,
mm-hmm.
are all of the things they're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
Are we literally talking about harnesses and dildos and lingerie and blah 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 blah?
Yeah,
the things you would think of with it. Okay, but do we also mean in addition to? Could they be more so talking about some of the other items?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the adult bookstores around West Virginia, and I'm sure many other states, have also become like a half head shop.
Right.
Like, it's not a full head shop, but in most cases.
Right.
But you can get a fair amount of equipment that you would also find in a head shop.
And a hardware store.
And a hardware store, and a number of gas stations, and a number of vape shops, and
yeah.
So it makes me wonder if they're going to expand some of this out. Because they kind of leave this wide open that primarily sell pornographic material or instrument, devices, or paraphernalia. Like, I mean, honestly, if that's exactly how that is written,
right,
one could potentially have a lot of issues out of that sentence. Because instruments, devices, or paraphernalia related to what?
Right.
Like, what specific does this specifically have to be sexually related?
Yeah.
And then I also would go on with that to go, could you in turn then deem like CVS an adult-oriented business? Can you deem Walmart an adult-oriented business? Because, you can buy a vibrator at fucking Walmart.
Not if this bill goes through, you will not be able to.
Well, I'm saying, though, there could be a flash moment where they close down a Walmart the day this goes active if they don't pull it off the shelves.
Right.
Like, how effed up is that?
Well, how effed up is the whole damn situation? So far, this legislature has taken the rights of teenage girls above the age of 13 to determine their own medical decisions when it comes to contraceptive. They have determined that, 2919. All right. They're trying to make it use an obscenity law to ban trans people from public. They're going after the adult bookstores. they are riding this Christian right democratical bullshit.
Well, they're writing a majority, or trying to, as much as they have one, towards rewriting law,
right,
or reestablishing laws that were rightfully, let that fall to the wayside. Because I'm sorry, if you don't want to go to an adult bookstore, it's really simple. Don't go to an adult bookstore.
Right.
If you don't want to go to a strip club, it's really simple.
Right.
Don't go to a strip club.
Right.
Now, but again, like the statistics and where they're getting them on the increased crime.
Oh, you know where they're getting them from.
Well, see, but that's the problem. They actually don't list those.
Right.
That, like, they're stating it as fact, but they're not supporting this as facts. Like, so you can't even begin to argue with them,
right?
Because you don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's a moot point. You can't even argue it,
right?
Because where did you pull these numbers from, and what are you talking about?
Right.
Like, what specific crimes? Show me demographical areas. Show me the crime statistics that you refer to. And then let's have a real conversation about those crime statistics and what we're talking about.
Right.
Now, the increase in sexual assault.
Right.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what? Tell me on what planet? And I'm just going to get kind of vulgar for a moment. Tell me on what planet someone goes to an adult bookstore, relieves tension, and then goes out and commits a sexual assault.
I think what they're trying to get at is, oh, they made me do it. The bullshit the men that tell their wives when they come home from one of these places.
Oh, yeah, I know. The magnetism of a glory hole must be great. It's just basically a giant black hole.
Right.
It just sucks men right in.
Right.
Like good Christian men walking down the street with no other thought in their head but how glorious God is, were pulled from the streets into this building, presented ID, paid to get in the back, and then ripped through the building.
Right.
No control whatsoever. I'm sorry. Anyone else want to explain that to me? Because that's almost the way you have to read this to understand it.
Right.
This is the, like, I'm sorry. I think there are many. I have never accidentally walked into an adult bookstore.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And then they had to pay for the lap dances. Like, God forbid. Again, I've only ever once accidentally walked into a strip club, and in my defense,
right,
I really didn't know. They could have really done some more things to make it clear. But other than that, I think we are all pretty sure what Southern exposure is. And if you weren't, there's enough radio ads to figure it out.
Right.
You know, and like there is like the girl silhouette on the side dancing with whatever, I think. I'm sorry, I'm not real familiar. I just have lived here for way too long, and I don't think they've changed their advertising.
No.
But you know, like, I'm sorry, can I phone a friend? I have relatives I could ask.
But no, they're too busy debating this and trying to run businesses out of West Virginia.
Yeah.
You know, trying to ban the sale of Crafton in West Virginia.
Yeah, we're trying to ban a lot of things that make money for the state that are otherwise legal for consenting adults.
Yep.
Versus, and do all this in favor of churches who pay no taxes.
Yes, who continue to pay no taxes, but levy and lobby like fucking bureaucratic assholes.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sorry if they, maybe those tithes shouldn't be going to lobbying the state's leaders.
Right.
And should instead go to, I don't know, feed the homeless, shelter the poor.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I'm sorry, shelter the homeless, feed the poor. Like, they get it wrong all the time. I can get it backwards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, there's just a lot of animosity from me tonight.
Right.
Especially when you know that's what this is born of. You know what party it's born of and why.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. This was not a bipartisan bill sponsored equally.
No. This is a Republican-only bill, and what it is they're tired of their wives complaining that they're in Charleston too much. So, they need to get home a little faster, so they're going to try to force these businesses close so they won't be tempted.
Mm-hmm. Are they going to ban the lottery too and the casinos? Oh, God, no. Jim Justice
they're moving the casinos. What's interesting is they're moving the casinos under the lottery board.
Oh, goody.
Yeah.
Oh, according to our politicians, we are too foolish to make our decisions. Actually, Brenda, what I'll come back and say on that one is I don't think that's exactly it. This has been de facto Christian standard for, your more conservative de facto Christian standard for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
That fundamentally their adult parishioners are so incapable of resisting temptation that they cannot even have the opportunity to engage in a behavior that is against their religion. As in literally run it out of the state, and then they don't have a problem.
I'm just wondering something. If someone's done this. I was looking to see if there was a study of the average adult bookstore's taxes. Like, how much money does a bookstore bring in?
I'd say that it's a fair amount, but I'd say it also has so much carrying cost. It's a very expensive business to be in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those businesses you have to have a wide variety of product.
Right.
And fundamentally, like, I'm sure you make decent money,
but
I'd say the outlays from the beginning are really could probably be really troublesome.
Right.
Because
yeah.
I mean, that was a conversation I got into at one point, and it was kind of interesting, was the turnover rate of product in an adult bookstore.
On average, they sell around 300,000.
Okay.
So 38% of that goes to taxes, which is what it normally does.
So,
add it up.
Yeah.
That's
30, 60, 90, 98,000 in taxes.
All right, 98,000 in taxes times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
You're roughly talking like $600 and some $1,000.
Yeah, that's what they're wanting to run out of this business.
Out of the state. Yeah.
That's how much money.
And it's an employer.
Not counting the bars and everything else they're wanting to run out.
Yeah, that's just the adult bookstores.
Yeah.
Just the adult bookstores.
The 7 businesses in the state that I can think of off the top of my head.
And then the countless employees of different strip clubs in the state. Then the countless employees of nightclubs,
Mm-hmm.
and then the countless employees of, well, yeah, it's a lot.
Right.
Like, yeah. Okay, so Shannon says Milton Lion's Den made about $250,000 in revenue last year. Don't know what the profit was from there.
Well, I wasn't even counting them. I was talking about the independent, not the chains. We want to add those in. That's another 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Granted, Lion's Den has its own malfunction. Sorry, that's a whole other conversation. Like, I'll just basically generically say Lion's Den is a bad measuring stick for adult arcades and adult bookstores. Because they are a corporate chain that franchisees.
Right.
And it's not, it's a very broken business. Because I will say there is a huge difference between independently owned and operated.
Right.
And the like Lion's Den, Adam and Eve chain stores.
Right.
Lion's Den and Adam and Eve are considered female friendly.
Right.
And what they mean by that is they have a lingerie section, and they are built more towards a committed married couple market, generally speaking.
Right.
Additionally, they end up hiring and being run by a lot of people who have no real understanding of the business they are in. And it has alienated me. Like, I hate going in a Lion's Den, because I have pretty much eternally been annoyed and disappointed. Because, no.
Well,
like, they're just crappy stores.
Well, they are, but it's I've got a different opinion on them.
Okay.
Okay, and the reason I got a different opinion on them is more of as a consumer. What really gets me is that what they charge for their products doesn't make sense. Because I can go there and get a 32-inch flogger for like $34. You go to Mr. S and it's like 100, 150.
Okay, but then turn around. What's the quality of differential?
There isn't. It's the same flogger.
Really?
Really. That's what I'm saying. It makes no sense.
Okay, someone's not. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, I because I generally associate like Lion's Den and product this is more toy product.
Right.
Like, it truly is a novelty item. It's probably only meant to vaguely be used. Yeah, to me, Lion's Den falls in the same category as Spencer Gifts.
Right.
It's right on that line.
Spencer Gift out of business.
True.
Yeah.
Because depending upon how you look at that store, you could very much say it's no different than an adult bookstore.
Right.
Because a lot of the items that they sell are very adult oriented.
Right.
Like like, granted, some they do have a selection number of different products and a number of different things, but it depends upon how you really look at the store.
Right.
Because they do have a fair amount of stuff that's sexually explicit.
Right.
They have a fair amount of stuff in that store that is at least highly sexually suggestive or pornographic, depending upon how you look at it. Oh, so Brenda's saying, but as a chain, they can probably get a better bulk price than an independent store. Well, and that may be part of it. The other part of it may be you're paying for brand reputation,
right,
as a differential between Lion's Den
right,
and Mr. S Leather.
right,
I really would have thought the two products would have been highly different.
right,
I mean, I could see them having similar product,
right,
but not necessarily the same
right.
quality product.
Now, according to Billy Wolf, communication director at ACLU West Virginia, told Motherboard that it doesn't appear to be advancing, and we are cautiously optimistic it will stay that way.
Yeah.
But I'd be getting on the phone because there are much bigger things than our government needs to be taking care of in the state of West Virginia than debating over who can go to a parent-teacher conference, the parent raising the child, the parent taking care of the child, or not, and where I spend my free money at that I make work.
Well, and moreover, like I know this is a primarily Republican. Well, it is a Republican-backed bill. I just can't see there being a whole lot of support among their fellow House members. To put it very bluntly, to close down the titty bars. Because that's what we're talking about for a good chunk of this bill.
Right.
I just can't see that being very popular.
Right.
I cannot see that being a friend maker.
Right.
Of like, you want a what?
Yeah, I hope this bill gets about as much support as Marjorie Greene's bill did.
Oh, I just think it's going to be wild. Although it looks like we did approve a campus concealed carry bill. What the hell? Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God. All right, sorry. I had to go look at that for a second. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. All right.
Yeah.
I'm good now.
Yeah. These are the things that are so important to the state. When we have rampant drug problems, we have rampant falling together infrastructure, we have rampant falling apart bridges, we have roads that cannot even be driven on in Summers County.
Oh, and we're borderlining an HIV epidemic.
Yeah, let's go for that one too. Yeah, we're borderlining an HIV epidemic.
Which, speaking of, you have a TikTok item in your inbox.
Right. Tennessee. Thank you.
Yes.
I saw it, but I needed print for it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, what was that? Kentucky?
No, Tennessee.
Tennessee. Oh, I knew it was one of the states.
Give me a minute to see if I can pull it up.
All right, I'll let you pull it up.
Well, if you can get it up, because I'm getting the By the way, guys, we're having an internet issue.
True.
But anyway, so Tennessee decided they're going to reject the federal HIV funding.
Oh, yeah, see. The internet strikes again. We'll have it in a few minutes.
Well,
they're supposed to fix this on Monday, guys. We should be much better for Tuesday's show. Right. We have finally, I think, figured out what has been going on for us with the internet. And it looks like our modem is dying.
Or has died.
Well, no, it hasn't died. We're still on air because we're having to use it. But it is having some problems being fully functional. So hopefully Monday they will come out, they will replace it, and everything will magically work again, as much as sudden fuck and optional internet can make it work. And I said what I said.
Yes. which, I don't know. They changed their name to get out of being sued.
Oh, basically.
All right, coming to you on your phone.
Oh, awesome.
Because I want to cover this one too. Because it's just
Okay.
like blonks my fucking mind. Did we not
Oh, yeah.
learn from Mike Pence?
Oh yeah, the like Mike Pence, Florida Governor DeSantis, like take your choice.
Right, which he's finally starting to get pushback.
Wait, I may be wrong. It may not be DeSantis who actually did this one. Oh, and of course it decides it wants me to sign in.
Okay, go to the Chattanooga Free Press article coming up next.
Okay. Hey, there it is. Yahoo News. Let's go over there. Awesome. Oh, there we go. Times Free Press.
Yep.
So, alrighty. So, Tennessee's top health official offers no explanation for HIV funding cut. So, Tennessee's new health commissioner declined to explain this week why the state will halt federal funds historically given to partner nonprofits for HIV testing and prevention, drawing criticism from a Democratic senator who said Governor Bill Lee's administration is playing culture war politics with the well-being of Tennesseans.
Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Ralph Alvarado, who took over as commissioner for the Tennessee Department of Health effective January 16th, appeared before a legislative committee Wednesday. The meeting began with the chairman acknowledging the interest around the HIV funding situation and requesting that the 25-minute meeting stay focused on getting to know Alvarado. Questions related to HIV services could be asked during the March 15th meeting, when Alvarado is scheduled to appear before the committee to discuss budgeting, the chairman said. In a letter dated the day after Alvarado assumed the role of commissioner, the Tennessee Department of Health informed partner nonprofits the state would forfeit millions in grant money from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention that's historically been used to fund HIV surveillance testing and prevention. And by surveillance in this, may I point out, that means keeping track of the numbers across the state.
Mm-hmm. And contract tracing.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not like they're tailing people with HIV and like chasing them around.
Right.
Sorry, it's one of those topics that tends to ruffle people. So during Wednesday's meeting, Alvarado shared his background, including growing up a son of immigrants in California. Blah blah blah. Has nothing to do with this. Okay, Alvarado noted the funding cut doesn't affect the federally funded Ryan White program, which provides medical care and treatment for people living with HIV/AIDS who are uninsured or underinsured. Well, thank God.
Yeah.
While the recent decision to end the CDC funding for other HIV services was abrupt, Alvarado said the current funding will continue through May 31st. Well, isn't that great? The state's examining how an effective program will be implemented at the state level and will notify the community of specifics as soon as that's appropriate. Blah, blah, blah.
Meaning
blah,
they
blah,
don't
blah.
fucking know.
Alrighty, so here we go. I don't think anyone should wait until March 15th to get better answers than what is being planned. There are organizations from Johnson City to Memphis to Nashville to rural areas that are going to be affected that have trouble figuring out how they're going to keep operations going. Yarborough, so let's see. I'm not getting a first name quickly. So anyway, Yarborough told reporters, pointing to reports that suggest connections to Planned Parenthood factored in the decision. Following last week's news that funding would be cut, the Associated Press reported Planned Parenthood, a longtime target of Republican lawmakers who dislike the group's abortion advocacy, was one of the nonprofit organizations that received a portion of the funds for HIV prevention efforts. Documents obtained by the AP show that in November, the state wanted to sever all direct and indirect financial ties with the organization. Quote, I don't know why the governor would care who is getting out there and trying to help Tennesseans not get sick and die of AIDS. That seems like something we should all be for and all be doing everything we can to support, Yarborough told reporters, adding the CDC's grants were approved under both Republican and Democratic presidents. Planned Parenthood spokesperson did not return a request for comment on the issue. So basically the entire state's plan right now is on hold. No one knows if they're going to have funding, when they're going to have funding, and what that funding is going to do. Now the TikTok video we ran across, and I do not know the source of her information. She was talking more specifically that not only was it Planned Parenthood, but is also part of an anti-trans agenda.
Yes.
And that the state's new program is slated to focus not on gay men and men who have sex with men, but on first responders, as well as women and children, and literally have nothing to do with any of the communities currently being prioritized because they have higher risk factors. So fundamentally, the state is doing a 2-for-1. They're getting rid of the program, if her information is correct. So basically, they're severing all ties with Planned Parenthood. They're getting the option to completely ignore that trans people exist. They're also not going to be focused on communities of color, which have a historically higher HIV risk due to basically being underserved by public health in the first place.
Well, we're going to see if we can actually bring this up.
Okay, cool.
Bracing for impact.
Oh, boy. Oh, let's unmute.
Y'all, this Mountain Dew bottle full of dip spit is Bill Lee, the Republican governor of Tennessee. Dip spit here decided to reject millions of dollars in federal aid for HIV and AIDS prevention programs in his state. Why on earth would he do such a thing? I'll give you one guess. Who are the main targets of the GOP right now? Trans people. The controversy was triggered by the inclusion of transgender and abortion rights groups. See, Dip Spit had a little hissy fit by voicing his disapproval of 2 HIV grant recipients spotlighted in the conservative media, a task force on transgender health issues, and Planned Parenthood. So that's when Dip Spit announced that as of May 31st, they would no longer accept any money from the CDC for testing, prevention, and surveillance of HIV.
You don't say.
But Dip Spit says it's okay. We're going to match that $8+ million in funds ourselves, but we're going to do it the way we want to do it. They're going to continue to support HIV testing and prevention, but they're going to focus on first responders, victims of human trafficking, and mothers and children. And that's because the federal programs prioritize men who have sex with men and transgender people, particularly in communities of color who are at greatest risk of HIV. Wayne Smith, who runs a faith-based HIV prevention program in Knoxville, he is going to lose about $10,000 from his program. And he says it's pretty hard not to think that part of the motivation is to restrict funding to groups we don't like and don't want to support. An infectious disease physician at Washington University in St. Louis said that the decision was a coordinated effort in order to try to dehumanize and stigmatize the LGBT community. You know,
yes.
HIV programs has done so well for Indiana, where they had a huge outbreak of HIV. And in 2017, Then Governor Rick Skeletor returned $54 million in unspent federal funds for HIV. And then the state saw the highest number of new diagnoses in the United States.
Yeah, you know who else is on strike?
This is especially concerning, especially since Memphis, which is in Shelby County.
Yeah, that was my problem listening to this.
Already has one of the highest rates of new HIV infections in the United States. Nothing like killing off your constituents to own the libs.
Exactly.
So already.
But no, for educational purposes, Meta, stay in your box.
But no. So yeah, that's the easiest way to go through all this. And I'm sorry, it's not a lot of commentary. We're in total agreement. Like, I don't know how else to take the data. I don't think anyone else knows how to take the data. It sums it up pretty well. I really do think, though, that the governor of Tennessee being called a Mountain Dew bottle full of dip spit is probably an insult to a Mountain Dew bottle full of dip spit.
Yes.
That being said, Governor Dipspit,
yes.
What the hell are you thinking?
Well, he's thinking that, he'll kill off anybody that won't vote for him.
I think it goes beyond that. I think we're in old thinking. Like stuck in the early 80s thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-Ryan White.
Right.
Thinking. That at this point, the state of Tennessee, and specifically Governor Dipspit, should be referring to this as grid.
Right.
That's how old his thinking is.
Well, here's the thing, and I really think the federal government should move towards this thing, and I think that it would really change politics real fast. Mm-hmm. You either take all the federal money or you take none of the federal money. Your choice, because Tennessee depends on federal money to operate. We'll see how fast
they put in.
Cover.
Mm-hmm. But no, this. There is nothing about making HIV testing harder to get, less accessible, less friendly, less targeted towards communities that need the testing the most, that does anything good for HIV prevention.
Right.
None of it does anything good. It will take time. Like, if they reject this money and it runs out finally in May, you're not going to see this problem next May, like this May or next May. It is going to slowly build, because please keep in mind there is a long window between HIV infection and the more commonly referred to development of AIDS. So you can have people freely roaming, inaccessible to testing, doing what people do, fully unaware, for many years. And in that time, 1 becomes 2, becomes 4, becomes 8, becomes 16, becomes 32, becomes 64, becomes 128, becomes 256. And that can happen very rapidly.
Right.
That one new infection can very rapidly spread through whole communities. Because specifically, HIV is a disease that will spread very rapidly at the very beginning.
Right.
During that first period between exposure and initial illness, which most people confuse for the worst flu ever. As in, oh my God, I'm going to die of the flu. Like, I'm gonna die of the flu. And that's not even an accurate portrayal of symptoms, but it's like the worst version. Like, take the worst flu you've ever had and multiply it.
Right.
Like, you will literally, according to most people that have gone through this, now there are strains that much like COVID, some people have and never realize that they have it.
Right.
Because the old school parlance, it was also known as the fuck flu.
Right.
Is 2 weeks after a sexual encounter, you would get the worst flu you have ever had or could ever imagine. There are some strains and some people, that's not their experience.
Right.
They get it and never know.
Mm-hmm.
They never have the first inkling.
Right.
There's no flu that goes with it.
Right.
It just occurs. And again, years between exposure and potentially being diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
And all the people they can have sexual contact with, that they can inadvertently have a blood exposure with, that they could share needles with, that on down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And effectively under his program, if they're not having sex with a woman,
mm-hmm.
if they're not engaging in, and even then, like in sex trafficking,
mm-hmm.
and they're not, in a situation where they're a potential stick with a healthcare worker,
mm-hmm.
or an emergency services provider, it's going to be luck of the draw. Did they have a surgery? You'll get screened if you have a surgery.
Yep. Or you'll go back to, it's not really a good way to do it,
Mm-hmm.
but it is a way to do it, is, you go back to when you donate blood,
Mm-hmm.
or plasma, depending on your choice,
Mm-hmm.
that gets screened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, that's if you are already a viable candidate to screen.
Mm-hmm.
As in, the men who have sex with men community,
Mm-hmm.
as in gay men, bi men, men who do not have, that are straight but do have sexual contact with men. If you check that box on your blood donation form,
Mm-hmm.
you're automatically ineligible
Right.
to donate blood. So again, it doesn't become an HIV test unless
you lie
on that form.
Yep.
And again, that's a horrible time to find out.
Right.
A lot of this is taking away the ability of a community
mm-hmm.
to have easy access,
mm-hmm.
And protect not only their health, but the health of their sexual partners and anyone else they're around. And there's a lot of misguided notions that all of the queer community, all of the gay community, looks like the first 2 rows of the damn gay pride parade. You are horribly mistaken.
Yes.
That is not like that. That's an important part and a very celebrated part and a very fun part of the gay pride parade.
Mm-hmm.
There are doctors and lawyers and bankers and accountants and bakers and childcare workers and teachers and, that do not go out in a thong and a pink feather boa to the gay pride parade. They march towards the back because they're not as fun.
Mm-hmm.
They're wearing sensible shoes and things you would expect to see, normal human beings wearing day to day.
Mm-hmm.
Not every bisexual man is open with their bisexuality,
mm-hmm.
Especially not with female sexual partners, because there is a huge stigma around bisexual men.
Mm-hmm.
None of this even gets into the married but cheating men,
mm-hmm.
Which, there is an old saying is, it's not cheating unless it's with a woman, because there is that weird mental gymnastics that goes on for people.
Mm-hmm.
That, you can't cheat on your wife with a man.
Mm-hmm.
You'd only be cheating on her if it was with another woman.
Right.
But these become communities that are already skating on thin ice.
Right.
That have limited accessibility to testing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not openly telling their doctors, like, oh yeah, by the way, I had anonymous unprotected sex, in the back of my truck last night, and then I went home and, had sex with my wife. They're not bringing that up at their general practitioner.
Right.
At best, the messaging has sunk in enough that they are at least going to their county health department once every couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And or when they have a specific problem.
Mm-hmm.
Usually gonorrhea, clap, syphilis, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
That is a more obvious symptom based sexually transmitted infection. And when they get there, they will get the full battery,
mm-hmm.
including HIV.
Right.
So at that point, this may be robbing resources.
Yeah.
That are not going to be there.
Right. If at all.
Programs waiting to know whether or not they have funding may die.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have money,
like we're reliving the moral majority. Mm-hmm. Bullshit. All right, let's take a commercial break and come back. And you've got you found the poly relationship advice one this week.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes. We swapped it up.
We did. I actually found the "Are You an Asshole" this week.
I know, right?
Welcome back, goblins! My name is Jason, and I am the host of the Esoteric Book Club, a podcast that examines titles on the magical, paranormal, the mysterious, and the strange. I release 2 episodes a month, in which I review books on esoteric topics, recap news of the weird, and conduct interviews with authors, practitioners, and experiencers. The Esoteric Book Club can be found on every major podcast service, or can be streamed directly from esotericbookclub.org.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I provide a blended reading consisting of mediumship, psychic, and tarot cards. A reading from me can cover any guidance you need from relationships with your partner or your family, spiritual, financial, any questions you may need clarity on. If you would like to book an appointment with me, check out my website, tracyvan.com. That's TracyVann.com. I have bookings from 15 to 60 minutes you may choose from. That helps if you just have a quick question, need an answer, or if you're looking for a reading in more depth, I'm here to provide the guidance and clarity for you. Let's just figure it out. Bye.
Hi, Techie Joe here. I work with Aeson Knight and some of the best psychics in West Virginia to create amazing live streams and podcasts for the Psychic Coffee Shop Network. Together, we brew up great content discussing news, events, hot topics, and more, all from a psychic perspective. On the Psychic Coffee Shop, we interview amazing authors in the metaphysical realm. Coffee and Tea combines Aeson with Tracy, Dottie, Natalie, or Lady Gwendolyn for the good and the bad of being a psychic. Shameless Self-Promotion with Dottie the Psychic talks to leading and emerging YouTubers and business owners in our community. Mountain Bears brings you the latest in LGBT news and politics. The psychic that plans answers the question of, well, how a psychic plans. Plus, we're live on air. We take your comments and your questions, including psychic advice questions. Check out our amazing programming, book an appointment with top psychics, and find out all the wonderful things we have to offer at PCSBnetwork.com today.
Hi, I'm Aeson Knight. I provide tarot readings covering everything from love and relationships to your life questions and your most spiritual answers. And also, I provide a lot of guidance in finances and divorces and all those relationship problems. So, if you'd like to get a reading from me privately, not on air, you can feel free to do so by visiting aesonnight.com and booking your appointment. I also provide on-demand services, so if your life is a little chaotic, you can go ahead and click that call now button there on my site. Great for a quick answer question. All right, guys, back to the show. Enjoy. All right, welcome back. Now let's jump into the poly pool and see what we can do to clear up some relationship issues.
Oh God, we're just going to do it all backwards.
Yeah. Well, no, we normally do poly. Yeah, no, you're right. Let's do Are You an Asshole first.
All right, Aeson is the asshole for bringing my daughter to work.
Go for it.
I work for a fairly small business. Pretty much anything goes. They just expect you to get your job done. Or so I thought. Yesterday, all plans to babysit my daughter fell through, and my wife and I both had to work. My wife is a nurse, so obviously she couldn't do it. So my only option was to take my daughter into work or call off. So I did. She's barely old enough to walk, so it was kind of hard, but still I got work done. She was mostly just happy as a clam being in my office and playing with toys. Anyway, no one said they had a problem with it until this morning, where the owner wanted to speak with me. He said it set a bad precedent, and I was lucky not to be fired. We're pretty much friends outside of work, and I'm vital, so I know he wouldn't really fire me, but he went on to say that other people will want to start also, and I need to be more professional. He said he's paying me to work, not run a personal daycare. I know that it's his business and he needs to think about it, but no one else is going to start doing whatever they want because I brought my daughter in for a day. I usually have like 3 hours of doing nothing by the end of the day anyway. I'm not falling behind. I don't think I'm an asshole. I'm the only one who can do what I do for his business, and he needs me around. He's kind of an asshole for treating me like a wage employee when I'm so indispensable and being so reliable and useful to him. Am I the asshole?
See, here's the problem. I first have a problem with his first part of the argument.
Okay.
My wife is a nurse, so obviously she can't do it. Where's she a nurse at? Is it a nursing home? Believe me, you would have had 78 babysitters.
Fair enough.
I grew up on the floors, okay?
Well, true. I'm sure they don't allow that anymore.
I'll debate that one because I'm sure that they did at one time and still do.
Oh.
Okay.
Like,
I promise you, there's been some kids took to work.
Okay, but assuming like hospital trauma ER nurse,
okay.
ICU nurse,
okay, we'll
cancer nurse,
right?
Like I could see how as a nurse she may be completely unable.
Right. And I don't think it's a big problem. I'm sure that there's other shenanigans that go in there too. My problem is the way the boss put it.
Yeah.
You know,
lucky to not be fired.
Right. Sorry for what?
Here's the thing though. I think this is a moment where malicious compliance is needed. I don't think you're the asshole. I very much think your boss is, but I don't think you're going to win this argument.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you took it to Reddit. I hope you wanted advice, not just to be told that you should fight him harder on it.
Right.
I think it's time for malicious compliance. The next time you have a child care situation,
right,
I highly suggest you call in. and let it be his decision
Mm-hmm.
as to whether he wants you at home
Right.
or he wants you in the office.
Mm-hmm.
And I would probably make very sure to say that you are professionally calling off because unfortunately you cannot find childcare,
Mm-hmm.
and you absolutely understand that bringing your daughter into work is unprofessional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think that is unprofessional in the least.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we were talking about every single day of the week from like after his wife returned to work,
Mm-hmm.
through like preschool,
Mm-hmm.
I could understand someone having a problem
Right.
and being like, okay, this is excessive.
Right.
Like if he were legitimately having problem keeping up at work, if he were legitimately doing this every single day or 5 times a week or 4 times a week, 10 times a month, whatever.
Right.
I think you could start to have a bit of a discussion about, I'd really prefer your daughter not be here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be how, as a boss, you would want to start that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm sorry, but this does not work as a childcare solution to just bring your daughter into work. And I think even in this situation, if that had been the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and no threats to fire, none of that crap,
Right.
just point blank say, I'm really not comfortable with you bringing your daughter into work. Can we find a way to work around this in the future so that doesn't happen?
Mm-hmm.
I think if the conversation had been there would be no post, there would be no asshole.
Well, and see, here's my view of it. And my view of it is this: I am an employer. We've had a child care situation within this,
Okay.
but it was never a big deal. It's like, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Please, bring something to entertain them.
Okay. Well, and we've had clients that have had to, like, when we have met here at the house, bring children with them. And we're like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. And I think most offices, as long as it's a safe environment.
Right.
I mean, if you're working in a machine shop, don't bring your daughter to work.
Right.
Don't bring your son to work. Don't bring your child to work.
Right.
Not a safe place.
Right.
Manufacturing lines, blah, blah, blah. This doesn't sound like the case. It sounds like regular small business.
Mm-hmm.
Bring your daughter to work. It's not going to hurt anything. Your daughter is not going to be injured. This is not going to pose a real liability for anyone. Maybe some spilled coffee.
Right.
Maybe, a knocked over plant. Nothing that is going to destroy the office.
Right.
Again, I think this boss horribly overreacted and has actually ruined a relationship with what sounds like a good employee.
Right.
All over something that, had you have, one, never said anything,
Mm-hmm.
may never have happened again.
Right.
Or two, would have gone a lot better
Mm-hmm.
for everyone involved.
Mm-hmm.
If you had checked the command and control at the door,
right,
and been like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not really comfortable with it, so maybe let's not in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And then been like, but I totally understand.
Right.
Because I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is the kind of owner that has never thought about childcare,
Mm-hmm.
that has never had care of a child,
Mm-hmm.
that whose spouse would refer to it as babysitting if they did it.
Right.
And otherwise could probably tell you nothing about their children.
Right. Furthermore, this also sounds like one of those, how can I put it nicely? This sounds like one of those, how can I put it nicely? 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 How If it was a woman, it wouldn't be the situation.
Oh, I don't even think it's that. I think it would probably be uglier and worse, and probably she would be fired.
Right.
Like, I would go out on that limb based on a boss responding that negatively to a man.
Right.
Is that, yeah, probably would have been fired.
Right.
Like, done, over, we're not even having a discussion.
Right.
But yeah, I just don't see that.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, you could be absolutely right. It might have been a problem if it was one of the women in the office. Right. But no, I think we all have to accept that sometimes, and it sounds like this employee very much did not want to do this.
Right.
But what else am I supposed to do?
Right.
I can't get a hold of my regular child care. My wife is unavailable to be a child care provider. Like, tell me what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
Like, there's nothing about my child care duties that would prevent me from doing those with my work.
Right.
With little to no impact.
Right.
And I'm assuming this child stayed happy as could be and not a loud screaming disaster through the day.
Right.
Because it doesn't sound like this child was a loud screaming disaster.
Right.
Like, it doesn't sound like he took his teething daughter.
Right.
I don't know. I really can't get this one.
Right.
Like, why would you... Like, the visceralness of the reaction, which is like, I'm about ready to fire you for this, versus the situation that is easily explained. I could not find childcare today. I made the most realistic choice, the most, logical choice that I could make.
Right.
That, coming into work was far better than calling out.
Right.
Even if it is with child.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't get this one.
Well, and I think that this boss is just a dick.
Yeah.
All right, guys, the poll is up. You can go ahead and vote on it. It is over on Aeson's YouTube page. All right, on to poly advice.
Oh, this is a fun one. Meta doesn't want to meet. The title basically says it all. My partner just started dating someone new who is mono.
Right.
But doesn't fully reject polyamory because she doesn't understand it. She is fine with knowing about me and being in my home while I am there. Although that has only happened once so far, but I stayed in my room the entire time while they were in the living room. Yet, she has made it clear to my partner that she never wants to meet me. I'm not a fan of that stance, especially since she's been in our home already and has tried to come over multiple times since. I personally don't think the relationship is going to last very long because of her being mono and him being poly, and I'm not going to tell him to end their relationship because we don't believe in vetoing. But I am concerned about how this is going to affect our dynamic. Him and I have already had a conversation about it, and I'll let him know by X amount of dates we need to be introduced. Also, to note, this is something we had as a rule where we wouldn't date people that never wanted to meet our nesting partner. We've just made some adjustments for this particular person because they don't fully understand polyamory. Does anyone else have this as a rule in their relationship? Or if it isn't a rule, how do you deal with never meeting your partner's other partner? Do you want me to read the edit?
Read the edit, and then we'll go into this because it's all together there.
Okay. I really appreciate everyone's advice on this. I did speak with my partner, and we've decided that parallel works better for us with this particular partner of his. If at any time she decides she wants to meet me, then great. But if she decides she doesn't want to, that is fine as well. I don't want to force something on her that she isn't comfortable with, because at the end of the day, I wouldn't want someone to do that to me. We also came to an understanding agreement that if she doesn't want to meet me, then she shouldn't have been in my home when I was there.
Mm-hmm. And see, there's some problems. Major problems here.
So many problems on this one.
All right. So you take off on your list of problems. I'll take on my list of problems. Go.
All right. So, short version, and in the right order, you and your partner had a rule. That rule was to not date someone who didn't want to meet the partner. Okay. Then your partner started dating someone who was mono. That you're giving a lot of grace by saying doesn't understand polyamory. Mm-hmm. Oh, I think she understands polyamory just fine.
Right.
What she doesn't understand is that this is not a negotiable part of her partner, that this is not something that she needs to be sitting here trying to negotiate. Her partner is poly. She either gets on the poly bandwagon or they go their separate ways.
Mm-hmm.
Moreover, I'm not seeing any reference to how you've tried to educate her, because if she comes in not understanding,
mm-hmm.
the next intelligent step would be to educate, to ensure that she understands what she's getting into.
Mm-hmm.
And what this is and what it isn't and how it works and how it doesn't work. Second, or third, I don't know where I'm in the list. So you adjust the rule, not train the new partner. You adjust your rule to allow them to date, and then you try to put a limit on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the genie's already out of the bottle.
Yep.
Now you're trying to say that by X dates, you want to cram the genie back in the bottle, and either they get with it or they get out.
Right.
But then you turn around and you don't want to do that. I'm confused. And fundamentally, you seem to not get that you and your partner establish not only a rule, but a boundary. Your partner effectively met someone who violated that rule and boundary. You willingly violated your own rule and boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And you have pushed yourself into a corner where she, the new partner, is calling the shots.
Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a problem.
Oh, I think all of those are problems.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, the horse is out of the pony.
Mm-hmm.
So she can't come over. She don't want to see you in your house. She can't come over. Real easy to set and settle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's like, can we just not?
Yeah. Here's my next thing,
Mm-hmm.
or my final thing, is so you've now decided, and I hope it works for you, to go parallel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was the lesson or the experience that you needed to be getting out of this. Because I think the bigger one is that fundamentally you have now entered the point where your agreements only exist until one or both of you finds something that violates the agreements.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to bend it, and then you're going to break it, and then you're going to change it.
Right.
That is not the right order to do those things in.
All right.
Typically it's run with what you got until you encounter a situation that could violate it, discuss it, and change or not bend, change, and run from there. Because now I'm sorry, this sounds like I have major problems with the partner, not the meta. The meta I have issues with, but the
meta I have total issues with, because I don't think that she's a true meta. I think she's a mono.
Yep.
Okay. And I think that she's trying to enforce mono, and it's like, no, you're a you're a mono, get over it. You're dating a poly. You guys go do that in your own box. Stay out of my sandbox. Or you're a cowboy and get the fuck off my ranch, because I will run you off.
I think in either case, you like that's a very cowboy up thing. Whether you're mono or poly, you can still be a cowboy. Because honestly, the amount of disrespect you're showing for their relationship, the original, the OP and the partner, the nesting partner, the amount of disrespect you've shown that relationship, and the fact that you are this many dates in, you have no clue what you're doing or doing to that relationship. Yeah, you don't care. You don't care that he says he's poly. And I'm sure you think of it just that way. I don't care that he says he's poly. He'll fall in love with me, and then we'll live happily ever after.
Right.
And we won't even remember that bitch's name. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Sorry, if you're this far in and you haven't begun to understand that if you have failed this far to know that you what you don't know that you don't know, yeah, I don't think you're ever going to try to get it.
Right.
And I think one of two things happens is either the nesting partner, aka the husband, boyfriend, whatever, rides off in the sunset with the new partner, or the new partner is going to have some very harsh animosity towards anyone who is poly from here on out, because she got dumped over an original partner. Because basically she's cheating this, she's treating this like he's cheating.
Right.
And she doesn't really care.
Right.
Yeah.
And see, what I don't get, and this is what I do not get, because as a hinge, I get pissed off very quickly. And you've seen me lose it on a few dating partners. That start the cowboy behavior. It's like, that will end quickly. We will cook you alive. And it's like, no, that's my problem. I have to go deal with it, and I'm out of it. I don't get that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, and this is something that's becoming more and more of an issue in our community. Dating with children.
Oh, God.
What the fuck? Like, did we not learn from all the songs that we grew up on?
Why does everyone care if you have children? Why? I don't get it. I've never gotten it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know it's a different situation. I get that. And I could even see or understand that some people are just like, nope, don't want kids, don't want anything to do with kids. Kids not part of my life plan.
Right.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. Exit stage left.
Right.
But just like everyone,
Mm-hmm.
like, because we have a friend that is going through that, and like every time they try to date, that's the response they get.
Right. And I don't get it.
And
I
it
really
sucks.
don't. I've had stepkids. Well, they're kids before. They're wonderful. I love having them because then I can take them out. We can go do things. I can go watch.
Oh, whatever. You love a minion and dress up.
Whatever.
Like, as long as there's a little girl child, you're fine.
No. I've never had a little girl.
What?
Yeah, all mine have been boys.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I figured you were cool with it. Like, I never thought to ask. I assume that every time it has happened to you, there has had to have been a baby girl.
No.
Because I could just see you, like, this is going to be the child with the most amazing hair in school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she hits teenage years, the makeup is going to be flawless.
No. The one girl that was on the step, it was cousin Ray's. She's the biggest prom girl I have ever had. But
well, that one rejected you. That's basically what
that one was fine. But no, I've always had boys. I've always had boys. I've always had football, baseball, soccer, volleyball, wrestling was interesting. Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's not that hard to date a single parent. It's like, okay, are we going to the movies or are me and you going to the movies? Me and you going to the movies? Great.
Are we going out to dinner or are we
going out to dinner?
Yeah, and like there's going to be some negotiation of that, and I think everyone can get on board with that and understand that.
Yeah.
That's not that difficult.
No.
It's not...
Like, I mean, don't get it.
Yeah. Now, I do think, one does have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, you don't get too far ahead in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, start introducing the new boyfriend or the new girlfriend to the children.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning.
6 months.
Yes. Take some time.
Right.
Now, granted, I think some people, it can work out that, like, is that really feasible? Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to date.
Right.
And have kids and not kind of have to start blurring the lines a little.
Right.
But I do think that, as long as everyone's upfront and okay with it,
mm-hmm.
that you can walk through that and work through that and make sure no one gets hurt.
Right.
Or put in a position they don't want to be in, or, names start flying before they should.
Right.
Because again, if you're, I do understand the concept. If you're dating with kids, like, you do have to be careful because you can have a child start forming attachments.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard enough when two adults break up. It's really hard to break up with a child.
Right.
On both sides of that equation. Like, it's very hard to move into that role and then get yanked out of that role.
Mm-hmm.
It is also very hard to have that role model show up and become part of your life and then disappear. I mean, it truly is.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. But no,
but
it's
other than that,
grow the hell up.
Yeah. Exactly. Brenda nailed it. Right where I was with this. Sorry, we both hit it.
Yes.
Oh, I could see him with a little girl. She'd be absolutely flawless diva.
Yes. I would love to have a little girl. If my life was convenient enough at this point in my life. Like, comparatively to now, I can't see... I won't say I'll never be another parent. I can't see myself right now having the time. One, we'd have to move the show because I'll have football games and basketball games to go to.
And bake sales and cotillions and balls and dances and do what now?
Girl Scouts and cotillions and dance squad and cheerleading practice and let's see what else is there. Parent teacher conferences, and then you have the follow up, which I normally call the dress downs.
All the things.
Yeah. And I'd have to I'd have to require 2 pins.
Well, and see, this would all honestly, if okay, 2-parter. If we were to have children, and by whatever situation would create that, and one of them was a girl, I would just open betting for how long till you get banned from the premises of the school. Because I know, I could see it, I can smell it, I can taste it. You will end up being the one who goes ballistic over something and gets banned from the property. You're not
because I've dealt with different school districts. One, it was South Carolina.
Well, they kind of expect you to have a gun rack down there.
Well, at the time, of course. Now it's a little bit more sensitive.
Well, yes, very.
Because I only had to take one teacher to task, and that's because she kept calling me Mrs.
Oh, no.
And it's like, no, ma'am. It's Mr.
Like, the beard is not the result of hormone replacement.
Oh, no, this was not even there at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's back when I was fully shaved.
Oh, okay. But no, I don't mean like he would be involved in a school shooting. Like, no, he never. No.
I would be like,
but I mean,
teachers apart.
I don't know. I'm just saying that, like, does anyone else associate the large presence of gun racks on vehicles in a parking lot with this is going to be spicy? Because not always a crowd that has great problem solving skills. Oh, great kid life. Dad 1, clothes, makeup, dances, etc. Dad 2, teach her all things tech. Dad 3, teach her to beat the boys at games. Well, that would have to then we have to figure out how to get a mom 1 in there to introduce her to being a lesbian. Like lesbianism 101.
Well, no, I'm just sitting here going,
I mean, if you look flawless, you're in tech, and you can beat all the boys at the games.
That just means that we make a lot of trips to Chattanooga, Tennessee.
What? Oh, I see. Yeah, your friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hell. I think the school had my name in lights when I called. Aeson would have a flashing red light when he called. Yes!
Calling. Excuse me? No. I am not
a voicemail. Brenda, I think it's cute you think he'll just call. Like, he will be the parent that goes up there over nothing.
I will not go up there over nothing. I will go up there if they're not meeting the accommodations, following the board policies, running their IEPs and Winslow's test correctly, discriminating against our children, not abiding by their accommodations, threatening or abusing our child, affecting their food allergies. There's a list of shit that I will put my hands on a principal and jerk his ass about across the desk.
And there's the get banned from school property right there. And no, I'm just saying you're going to be up there for everything. And it's like, God help us if we live here. Because it's a short walk. He doesn't even have to take the car. It's not like I can take his keys and make my day better. Because you know who's going to get the phone call. You know who's going to get the phone call to come collect your crazy ass other half.
Yeah.
Or better yet, the call that says, "Hi, this is a collect call from Fayette County Corrections." Southern Regional Jail, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Southern Regional, this is a collect call from Southern Regional Jail.
Honey, bring me my checkbook. I have to write an $87 check. But I'm whipped another.
Sure thing. Love you, miss you, gotta go bye. He said bring it. He didn't say when.
Actually, I need to check and see if they've updated their policy.
Throw a little house party, pick you up in the morning.
Yeah, whatever. Then you'll have to Dad 4.
Brenda said they preferred me calling.
Yeah.
See, then I would probably hear my mother's voice come out of my mouth. Like, I would take this child on the first day of school, which he will now probably never, in this fictional situation, never allow to happen after this. I would take the child to school on the first day, and I would hear, like, I would be possessed by my mother, and I would look a teacher dead in the eyes and say, use whatever level of force necessary that you think will correct the behavior problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll go, oh, God, cringe. You can't say that stuff anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one, teachers aren't even going to listen to that. Like, no, I know. It's a trap.
Mm-hmm.
It's a trap.
Right.
Like,
see, that's why we would probably register the child with my last name, because if they're living here and they see my last name and they know they're in trouble.
Oh, true.
Like, the board will call the principal and say, you need to go through your records and you will see that we were sued in the 90s over an issue that's very, fearfully and now makes us look stupid. That person is just registered a child in your school. You will follow the board directive on every issue.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But no, in this entirely fictional situation, I just got to say, it would probably make sense for us to move back to Mercer County, register the child with my last name, and be done with it.
Yes, because Mercer County has better schools. Not only that, they've got everything preferably together. I've actually looked at the curriculum. It seems well. They apparently have a good graduational. They have a higher GPA and graduational rate than Fayette County. And they seem to actually have fully interactive academic programs, although I do think they need more language skills.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
No. Like, we had 2 options in foreign language and place back in my day. No.
Yeah.
I was not prepared. I will say my Spanish is muy pequeño.
Oh, well, I'm getting better with my Spanish. My Latin's a little dead. My Japanese is a little dry. Russian has been not lost on me, although I'm having problems more so now reading Russian text than I did. And, my Slavic is doing amazing.
Well, there you go. But no, Mercer County would be easier. There would probably be a record scratch moment of your whose child?
Uh-huh.
And then probably a brief moment of whose grandchild?
Uh-huh.
And then I have to have that awkward moment my mother had of no.
Mm-hmm.
No. Yes, I know you have one of my grandchildren enrolled.
Uh-huh.
Already.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of grade levels above.
Mm-hmm.
No, this one's mine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, not here to register a grandchild.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, that's fun, especially when your sister shows up the next year and registers your nephew.
Uh-huh.
One nephew on one side, one nephew on the other side, and it's just a fun day.
Uh-huh. Well, not only that, but you also have connections within the school, and
Well, I know a fair number of
apparently with the school, so that'll just keep us all engaged.
Do what now?
One of your wonderful clients that took care of Marshall School's problems with treating their teachers badly, that assisted your sister in graduating early.
Oh yeah. Anywho, do not register a fictional child in Oklahoma. Fair enough. We'll check that out. Thank you. But no, I'm just sitting here having this moment. Like, I think I could navigate Mercer County schools a lot easier.
Agreed.
Like, I mean, my elementary school principal is currently the Mercer County superintendent.
Okay.
And I could deal with her. She was a very fair woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was very, very fair. Uh-huh. Now, every once in a while, I'll get the wrong end of the stick, and she's got a temper.
Mm-hmm.
But talk to her in logic and reason. Don't escalate it. Mm-hmm. You will get her back on your page and in your corner real quick. Escalate it and fuck around and find out.
Right.
Like, I feel like she may have invented the words. Fuck around and find out.
Right.
Just because that pretty much sums up her personality. Very good, very, very good principal, very good superintendent. She has not gone through any of the crap the previous superintendent did. But no, and some of the people that I had as teachers, I think, are still around. They're going to be very confused.
Right.
Some of the people I went to school with are now teachers in the Mercer County school system.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be awkward.
Right.
Like.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
With that, guys, we hope you enjoyed the show. Yes, it's a little long. It's been a week. And, it's the government.
Hey, we had some fun. It was a good show.
I'm going to send you a username. Please make sure to go and find them and destroy them.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah. So with that, guys, take it away, my darling.
All right. 1 second. Let me get back over there. Well, I'll roll there you go. Roll the beautiful bean footage. So of course we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Dottie the Psychic, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, and Devin. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Now, a reminder, baristas, you have a gallery reading at 6 p.m. tomorrow.
Do you come? Do you enjoy?
Yes.
We look forward to you being there.
For free. If you do not have your ticket, you can get your ticket from aesonnight.com, and it is $10.
Yep.
So with that, y'all, we will see you tomorrow. Bye, y'all.
Bye.